Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Angel Feliciano, and today I'll be talking about the ethics of neutrality, specifically net neutrality. Net neutrality is one of the most debated issues in our digital world today. Imagine this: you're streaming your favorite show or playing an online game, and suddenly your internet slows down. Not because of your connection, but because of your internet service provider decided to give priority to another platform that paid more for faster speeds. That's the kind of world we could live in without net neutrality. Since 2015, the policies and lawmakers in Washington have been leaning this way for some time, giving corporations more control over the internet and how we get data delivered to us. So, what exactly is net neutrality? Net neutrality is the principle that all internet traffic should be treated equally by internet service providers, or ISPs. In simple terms, your ISP should not block certain websites, slow down specific services, or create fast lanes for those who can afford to pay extra. The question at the heart of this debate is: should ISPs have control over how we access online information? This idea may sound abstract, but it affects everything from how we stream videos and access news to how small businesses and independent creators reach their audiences. So let's consider the ethical implications. Net neutrality promotes fairness and innovation by ensuring that everyone, big corporations and small startups alike, compete on the same playing field. When users have equal access to online information, it empowers creativity and diversity. It also protects our freedom of choice, allowing us, the users, to decide how we use the internet rather than letting a few powerful companies make those decisions for us. Without these protections, ISPs could exploit their power, favoring certain content providers and restricting others, which would stifle competition and limit access to information. There are several strong arguments in favor of maintaining net neutrality. First, it promotes freedom of speech and equal opportunity. The internet has become the main space for expressing ideas and sharing knowledge. Without net neutrality, some voices might be amplified while others are silenced. Secondly, it prevents ISPs from creating a two-tier system where those who can afford to pay more get better speeds and visibility, while smaller creators or users are left behind. Thirdly, it encourages innovation. Many successful companies like YouTube, Netflix, and even Facebook started as small startups. They might not have survived if ISPs had been allowed to prioritize competitors. Finally, it protects consumers from unfair data discrimination, ensuring we all get what we pay for: an open, unrestricted internet. Now, there are some arguments that exist that are in favor against net neutrality, and I think I can see them as some valid points as well. Internet service providers argue that net neutrality limits innovation in network management. They claim that being able to manage internet traffic, even through paid prioritization, could actually improve service quality for users who need high-speed connections like hospital or streaming platforms. Essentially, dividing the traffic based on necessity could provide better utility to the users, but that's kind of in a perfect world where I also believe that we all have equal access to internet. Today, lobbyists and lawmakers typically tend to lean more towards the control the internet, monetize it in some way, and put the shareholders' profits, before anyone else's. Um, Others believe that market forces, not government regulation, should determine internet pricing and service quality. From this perspective, competition among ISPs would naturally keep prices fair and services efficient. Again, like capitalism introduces competition to lower the prices, I think at this stage in capitalism in the United States, we have seen exactly what it's gotten us. And essentially, it has weakened our country kind of from the inside out. And us being number one in the world in terms of information, I believe that this is probably one of the places where we should least sacrifice and not prioritize money, but more so prioritize the level of service and quality of the internet, and not restricting or censoring information that one may, come across, which essentially net neutrality has the ability to limit exactly what we see. Now, some critics warn that too much regulation could lead to government overreach, which might have unintended consequences for internet development and private enterprise. But these arguments, I think are a little bit overvalued. But regardless, I think these are the most valid points against net neutrality. But um, essentially, this isn't something that I'm in particularly in favor for. If anything, I'm for the net neutrality and making sure that the internet remains uncensored and equal. As I don't think an internet service provider who is merely just a distributor of the internet should be able to middleman something as important as this information. So we can talk about the ethical frameworks, and to better understand these perspectives, we can apply three frameworks. Utilitarianism. Does this policy maximize happiness for society as a whole? From a utilitarian viewpoint, net neutrality promotes the greatest good because it benefits the majority, consumers, creators, and innovators, rather than just large corporations. Then we have deontology, on the other hand, which focuses on duty and moral obligation. From this lens, ISPs have a duty to treat all data equally, since discrimination in data access violates users' rights to fair treatment and free expression. And finally, we have virtue ethics, which emphasizes a moral character. It values things like honesty, fairness, and integrity. Supporting net neutrality reflects these virtues, encouraging transparency and equality in how information flows online. Some real world impacts that we can list right off the bat is that the debate isn't over and it's not theoretical. This is probably the most hands on debate that we've seen. In 2015, the FCC established a strong net neutrality rules in the United States. However, these protections were repealed in 2017 as soon as Trump's first administration came into power. And this started, probably the most protests and ongoing legal battles that we can see in our court system today. This probably has the most dockets for the most judges, and continues to be, an important part of what we as Americans should continue to fight for. And without net neutrality, ISPs could slow down or block competitors' content to favor their own services. For example, like cable companies can prioritize their own streaming platform over Netflix. They shouldn't be able to do that. Without net neutrality, however, equal access supports education, small businesses, and activism, allowing people from all walks of life to share their ideas freely and compete fairly in the digital economy. The continuing debate shows how important it is to define the ethical boundaries of corporate power in our world. To conclude, basically, in conclusion, net neutrality raises complex ethical questions about fairness, freedom, and corporate responsibility. On one hand, companies seek to profit and innovation. On the other, society demands equality, openness, and accountability. Maintaining neutrality ensures that the internet remains a level playing field, a space where creativity thrives, where small voices can be heard, and where users, not corporations, decide how information flows. The ethical takeaway for me is very simple. The internet should remain open, fair, and accessible to everyone. And thank you for hearing my presentation. And here's 8 minutes.